all on this side of the House, and I'm sure across the whole House, and indeed the other chamber, which is adjourning, Mr Speaker, are deeply saddened by the news of the passing of Senator Alex Gallacher. Senator Gallacher served in this parliament for 10 years. Born in Scotland, his father headed out here, in Senator Gallacher's own words, for a better chance for him and his family. That's what this country is all about. That's the country he served. We extend our deepest sympathies to all of you. Senator Gallacher's family also, we send our love and our prayers to them also on this terrible day. And may God bless him, may God bless all of you, and may our colleague and friend rest in peace. A motion will be moved, Mr Speaker, tomorrow, which will provide the opportunity for all members to speak to that motion. But here today, we just simply acknowledge him and thank him for his wonderful service, and remember him and what he has done for our country, and we think of his family most of all.
The Leader of the Opposition.
Thanks, Mr Speaker. I thank the Prime Minister for his warm words and for his message of condolences. It is indeed sad news, the passing of a sitting senator, Senator Alex Gallacher. Alex represented South Australia in the Senate since 2010. He was born in Scotland on the first day of 1954 and came to Australia 12 years later with his parents, like so many migrants, to seek a better life. In his first speech in the Senate, he named his priorities as the transport sector, superannuation and road safety. In that first speech, he quoted US President Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "Far and away the best prize life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing." Alex did that. He did that as a working man, as a truck driver and in the transport sector, as a transport union official, and then as a senator. Alex's career was indeed a fine one. We in Labor are very proud of Alex. He was a conscientious, no-nonsense man who knew what he stood for. Along with his mate Stirling, he was a long-time member of the Senate Rural and Regional Affairs and Transport Committee, and he particularly prioritised road safety on behalf of the Australian Labor Party, for which he was a dedicated member and which he loved and truly served completely every day. We express our condolences to his family, to his friends. May he rest in peace, and we will have an opportunity to more formally honour Senator Gallacher from tomorrow.
Sending a huge congratulations to Alex Janik for winning this year's Senator Alex Gallacher Road Safety Award. Alex, you're exceptionally deserving of this award. The work you have done and the achievements you have made since the tragic death of your friend would make them and so many others proud. We know that mobile phone use while driving is on the rise and has led to countless deaths on our roads. No longer is it a phone to an ear, it's drivers texting under the supposed covering of their steering wheel. It's now, more often than not, people attempting to discreetly avoid scrutiny from others, but knowingly putting themselves and others at risk. And that is exactly what your camera and technology has been able to detect. In New South Wales, a report found where mobile phone detection cameras have been introduced, when compared to previous trends, 121 road deaths were avoided in the past 2 years. The technology you created to monitor mobile phone use is now being used around the world, from Western Australia to the UK. And I'm proud that the Australian Government has supported your efforts through the Road Safety Innovation Fund. So congratulations, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your cameras rolled out right across the country.
So firstly, welcome, Alex, and I just want to congratulate you on the fantastic work that you've been doing and for the major changes that you've made within Australia and contributing to the improvements in road safety also globally.
Thank you very much, Peter. It's a real honour to receive the Alex Award. I mean, Alex Gallacher was just such a tremendous human being and so important to us in the road safety community. And yeah, I remember the first time where I met Senator Gallacher. I was in his office. It was almost exactly 4 years ago. I think it was December 3, 2018. Met him for the first time alongside Glenn Sterl as well. And he gave some really great advice to me and was very supportive. And then he had to go into the House or into the chambers, and he said, look, you know, you can use my office and work out of here for the next few hours. And so very generous of him.
I got to know Senator Gallacher back in 2015, and his dedication to road safety and wanting to get everyone home safe became an inspiration fundamentally to me. The legacy that he left is so important for the Australian community. And when I met up with Senator Sterl and then with his wife Paula to make certain that she was in favour and their family was in favour of doing the Alex Award, as it now is, to have their support and recognition that we had a way of honouring Alex Gallacher. And of course, the other amusing part for me is his birthday was the 1st of January 1954. So he provided us with the opportunity of starting off each year now with the recognition of a great Australian who's making an incredible contribution, as I say, through the local community, through the global community. And so I'm incredibly proud of the fact that you, Alex, are the 2023 recipient of the Alex Award. One of the things that I think is important is to get a bit of a history of you and what brought you into the space, so that we can understand the changes and dedication that you've shown in making making AccuSensus and your work so important in road safety.
Thank you, Peter. I'm an engineer, so I've been working actually in the road safety and road enforcement space since 2006. And then there's a couple of catalysts for why I founded AccuSensus. So AccuSensus was founded in 2018, and we're really trying to address that major challenge of people using their mobile phones while they're driving, which is an extremely dangerous act. So probably the two major reasons to look at that. First, in 2013, my friend James Rapley was riding his bicycle in a bike lane going up a hill in Los Angeles, actually. He was doing a one-day stopover on his way back to Australia. Sadly, he had the day in LA because of massive storms in Chicago where he was living. And so he said, okay, I'll go a day early to make sure I get back to Australia just before Christmas. It was the 22nd, 23rd of December. And he was a fit bloke. He rode his bike up the hill and in a bike lane, and during the daytime, and somebody ran into him from behind at speed. That person was impaired, and I was told that person was texting on their phone. And so, that's the end of James's life. And along with a lot of my friends and colleagues, I'm pretty devastated by that. And that's the thing with road trauma, of course. Like once, and of course, you've lived through it, and in an absolutely devastating way. And I was trying to come up with different solutions and ideas as an engineer, in that month after his death. So I sort of coated the walls of my office in different things and looking at mobile phones and things like that. But I think sort of had to park that for a few years. But when I started seeing the uptick in road fatalities across nations like ours, the developed world, so Australia, US, Netherlands, from around 2013, 2014, fatalities weren't dropping anymore. They started rising again. And you could start seeing that in the data around 2015. And so by 2016, I'm like, I really want to try and address this. I'm convinced that smartphone use, which is, if you plot the two together, you see, so 2013 was really the rise of the smartphone, the iPhones sort of came into wide circulation around there, and the two just sort of go up together like this: smartphones in circulation, road fatalities in the US, for example. And while everything else was improving, we had better quality roads, in the previous recipient of this award at IRAP, going around ensuring globally that we actually keep improving our roads. And so that reduces fatalities. We had better trauma care, sort of all of the pillars of road safety, better cars, better safety devices, they're all improving except for road user behaviour. And road user behaviour was getting worse. 2017, I had to find somebody who was willing to actually back me, because this was going to be a big R&D effort to work this out. I mean, now in 2022, 2023, you can say, of course, you can use an artificial intelligence system and work out which drivers are using a mobile phone. But back in 2017, nobody knew that, right? Like, that was brand new. I didn't know that I could solve that, but I had to find somebody who was willing to put their cash on the line. I found that in my co-founder, Ravan Mirchandani, and his company.
Yeah.
So we founded the company in early 2018 and spent 2018 trying to, develop the technology, get through a windshield, remove the glare, automatically determine, if a driver was using a mobile phone. And of course, myself and also I think Alex McCready as well, we were both approaching the New South Wales government and saying, you could solve this with camera technology. And I think we were probably both doing it before we'd actually designed and developed the technology, but, we had passion and confidence. It's almost like the rest is history, I guess, that the New South Wales government was willing to listen and to try it. And, we had this fantastic partnership with Transport for New South Wales now since the end of 2018. We were selected to pilot the technology. And at first the pilot was for fixed sites, fixed enforcement cameras. But for me, what I really wanted was, and I'm sure the government wanted this too, network-wide deterrent, that concept of anywhere, anytime. And so in the background, we, myself and Andrew Matthews, our head of operations and employee number 2 at AccuSensus, we were tinkering on trailer systems. And so, get these cameras up onto a trailer and then we can move them around the state. And we pitched that to Transport for New South Wales, and they said, that sounds like a good idea. We're willing to try that and incorporate it into the pilot. And so, I guess that was the precursor to what you see now across New South Wales and Queensland, where there's trailer-based systems are, I think, the really effective deterrent. I mean, both jurisdictions also have fixed camera systems, but the trailers are great. Anywhere, anytime, be there for a few days, move on. And almost everybody in New South Wales has basically experienced one of our cameras, at some point in time, has driven past it, and we've seen just huge behaviour change across the road network. So 6 times less mobile phone usage compared to when we started. So, and you really notice it when you go to New South Wales, if you put a camera there or if you drive around, and then you come to Victoria, for example, which doesn't have an enforcement program in place. There's just far more people using their devices here than there are in New South Wales. And so we've seen that trend. And then New South Wales has also had just a phenomenal few years in road casualty reduction, where New South Wales road fatalities are down 20% since our program started, and sadly the rest of Australia has gone up.
I think the concept there of basically anywhere, anytime is key to road safety compliance. This is behaviour change because people recognise that there's an increased risk that poor behaviour will be caught. And I think it'd be lovely to talk a little bit about the other jurisdictions and also the AI, which is now becoming so important.
So the artificial intelligence system has obviously been refined over just millions and millions and millions of vehicle transits, hundreds of millions of them. But what's been really challenging for us in developing a really great artificial intelligence system is the fundamental question of how do we do that without actually storing any images? Because we took a line from the very early days that we weren't going to store photos of drivers. basically, and you look recently, with Optus and with Medibank Private, basically, if you're holding data, you have to assume that it will leak. And the importance to us of the road safety importance here is that the public has to be on side, and so if we're doing the wrong thing with images, if we're doing the wrong thing with privacy, then we're going to lose the public trust on it. And so we sort of handcuffed ourselves there, because the easiest thing in the world would have been to just store 100 million images and you can develop an artificial intelligence system really easily. But what we've done is develop an ongoing training and learning platform that every time something goes through, it reinforces our technology, but we don't store the image. And so it's probably has been, it has taken its time to develop and to learn, but now, it's very effective at picking out who's using a mobile phone and who's not using a mobile phone, to the point and where we can give the tool to police officers. So, we're trying to solve this problem globally. One of the places we're really trying very hard is in the United States. Basically terrible road casualty rates, often more than 10 fatalities per 100,000 per annum on roads in the US, compared with our 4 to 5 here in Australia. But the US culture is not one that is embracing of automated enforcement, not like we are here in Australia by and large. And so what we do over there is supply the same technology. So it's like the heads up trailer system, and it sits there and screens the traffic live. So as each car goes past, and then it is used in conjunction with police officers, and they wait, a couple of 100 meters down the road, and they've got a tablet. And if somebody's using the phone, not wearing a seatbelt, speeding, then they get their images there on the tablet. And they get a countdown timer. There's 5 seconds until this vehicle gets to you, and they get a photo of the vehicle and of the driver, and then they can do a traffic stop there and then. And so it's one that's a bit easier for the US to embrace, and hopefully can make a dent over there, because the compliance rates in the US are quite terrible. In Australia, in Victoria, you might have 1 in 50 drivers at any given time is actively touching a mobile phone. So that's a 6 times elevated crash risk as they're, doing that and using that mobile phone. Over in the US, you might have 1 in 10. And then another 1 in 10, or often it's, it can be the same person, is not wearing a seatbelt. And, probably 1 in 2 is speeding. So there's sort of this trifecta where you get this sort of group of people that say about 1 in 100 drivers on US roads might be doing all 3. And that group has, if you run through the statistics, like a 180 times increased crash risk. Yeah. And so if we can get an officer to actually then intervene for those people who are, doing all 3, and hopefully change their behavior right there and then, that's the theory, I guess. So we'll see how we go with that over in the United States.
Look, I actually think that's incredibly important to talk about the speeding side of it as well, because while the technology in Australia is there to be able to do speeding, as I understand it, at this point in time, we're only looking at seatbelt usage and mobile phone distraction. Has there been any discussions amongst the jurisdictions about being able to gazette that?
That's what West Australia are piloting at the moment. So in West Australia, we've been having our trailers going initially, within 200k of Perth, but now they're sort of right through the state. We're doing remote trials with the government there, including with satellite communications, which is really interesting to us. But so over there, they're simultaneously trialing, mobile phone use, seatbelt enforcement, point speeding, so using radar, and average speeding using license plate recognition and 2 trailers. And so getting this profile, I guess, of all those behaviours simultaneously. And when you run through the numbers, if you're looking at speed, distraction, and seatbelt, those factors combined, that's the underlying cause in 2 in 3 road deaths. It's those 3. And so from a single asset, you can be trying to address 2/3 of road fatalities. I guess we just need to see that evolve over time. I'm sure the governments will sort of eventually get there, where we do combine them all at the same time.
we recognise that there's a ripple effect that goes not just where there's serious injury, not just where there's a death, but throughout the families, the friends, the communities, which lasts a lifetime. That's why I think the work that you do is so important, because we'll never know whose lives have actually been saved. And it's not just the driver, it's those they come up upon, it's those on the road ahead, it's those on the side. This movement to try and stop distraction and try and stop speed saves lives directly. There's going to be thousands of lives that'll be saved. There'll be tens of thousands of serious injuries, which won't occur because of the technology and the compliance and enforcement that has to go along with that. But that started with your work, and that's extraordinary stuff. So, you know, I think, and that of course comes to the issue for us, which was to ensure people drive so others survive. And of course, your work is directly contributing to that concept. Do you want to make any comments about that, Alex?
I think it's important to recognise that there's two sides to this. So one is a technological side, which is of course the side of it that I've been trying to solve. But the technology is useless without the political will to actually introduce it and to sustain it. And that's where, you know, the work that you've been doing is just so absolutely critical. So, and the campaign of Drive So Others Survive, and just keeping road safety just at the forefront. And it takes a lot of effort to try and convince people to break away from the status quo, you know, to actually do something. And, you know, the political cover that, you know, this advocacy that you do is absolutely essential to then allow sort of people like myself to come in with an actual technology solution that can then to then make it a difference. And I think one of the things that is most disheartening for me in what I'm doing is just the concept that every day that you delay an intervention like this one is, you know, another death, another 50 injuries, you know, and that's like on a per jurisdiction basis. And it's like, and, you know, that's what's frustrating about, you know, how do you try and move a government, you know, into actually moving quickly into addressing it? It's too easy to say, yeah, we'll look at that next year. It's like, well, next year, another 30 people have died that if you had made that decision this year, those people would not have died, you know, and 50 times that in injuries. And I mean, Australia, we're at the forefront here on, you know, on the distraction issue. And it's been, you know, tricky for us internationally to just try and get that traction overseas as well. And we are starting to see other countries, you know, follow suit. But it's sort of they're 4 years behind Australia, basically, or 4 years behind New South Wales. I'll correct that. But, you know, now we have enforcement happening in the UK. You know, we have enforcement happening in the US. The Netherlands is on the cusp of it. So we are starting to see movement, and we've had plenty of interest. We've deployed our systems in 5 continents. You know, I think 20 different jurisdictions. So yeah, that has all come out of Australia and New South Wales being willing to you know, make the politically tough decision, actually, which now in hindsight was not a politically tough decision. It was widely supported by the public, which is good to see.
Once we have the public in favour of a campaign, a system, a technology, then I've got to say our politicians then are able to move and to hopefully take some really tough decisions, which wouldn't have been possible without our community being behind it, to be frank. Alex, I just want to say thank you for the work that you've been doing. Thank you for using such a horrid circumstance of your friend being killed as being the marker, the reason that you then decided, I'm going to make a difference in this space. And again, congratulations on the great work that you've been doing.
Thank you very much, Peter. Thanks for recognising me with this award. It's much appreciated. And thank you for all the work you've been doing advocating for road safety in Australia and globally as well.
Thanks very much, mate.